welcome to the LGBTQ Voice. Eileen here tonight. I haven't been here in a few weeks, so I'm glad to be back. Tonight we're going to talk about stereotypes, but before we do that, I really want to talk about the students, the younger generation, and the work they're doing to educate the community about LGBTQ rights and promote equality. So this week I had the opportunity to go to Alma Del Mar's social injustice display at the Whaling Museum on Thursday. So we have a few photos and a short video of what their presentations were. Hi everyone, I'm here with Elena and she is going to tell us about her project that she chose and why she chose it.
So, hi, my name is Elena. I go to Alma Del Mar Charter School in New Bedford. So, my Injustice project, I chose to talk about LGBTQ rights and transgender rights because of being a part of the LGBTQ community. I know what it's like to not feel comfortable in your own skin and walking down the street and have people bullying you for who you are. So, my school's LGBTQ group came together. We went to Pride and South Coast Pride in Buttonwood Park Zoo. So then we gave people makeovers, we sold pins, we sold bracelets to help raise money to send to the perfect place. And yeah, so I basically explained in my board what the L is for, what the G is for, what the B is for, the T and the Q. So thank you.
So that's an example of how the students at Alma Del Mar are getting involved in the LGBTQ community and promoting equality. And I think it's important to acknowledge their dedication and commitment to their education and supporting the community. So, hi Alexandria. So tonight we're going to talk about stereotypes. And before we get started, I'm going to let each person here, each guest, introduce themselves.
My name is Jeannie Robertson, and yes, I'm gay.
Hi, I'm Melissa Nascimento, and I own my own private practice. I'm a mental health clinician in Wareham, and I'm here to talk about some of the mental health concerns facing the LGBTQ community.
My name is Antonio Rodriguez, and I'm here to have a lively, colorful discussion around the subject matter.
And I'm Eric Streimer-Wynn.
Hi, Eric. Welcome, everyone. So let's start off with some general stereotypes, and then we can have some conversation about them. So some general stereotypes are that being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender is a phase or a choice. Do people have thoughts on that?
Neither.
Okay. Have you, Jeannie, experienced people saying that to you, that it's a choice that you chose to be a lesbian or that you chose to be gay? And
yes.
Yeah.
Do we have time for that?
We do. That's why we're here.
All right.
It's all about you, Jeannie.
Oh, well, you know, sorry guys, but you gotta leave. Yeah, people will ask, why do I look that way? You know, why do you have to be like that? You need a good man. You haven't found a good man yet. Mm-hmm. All that.
So, what day did you wake up and decide you were going to be a lesbian?
I don't remember, but I do remember in preschool liking my teacher.
Was that a female teacher?
It was.
Just checking. Antonio, what do you think about it's a choice to be gay?
It's funny.
A phase.
Yeah, it's neither. I don't think anyone chooses this lifestyle. It could be hard. But I do have this conversation a lot with some of my straight friends, and this conversation came up on Sunday at a barbecue, and the question was, when did I become gay? And I returned the question with, when did you know you were straight? And then I think that kind of clicked, because I think, like, it comes a day where people think, oh, I'm going to be gay today. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. I am just as gay as you are straight. It just is. So that's neither a choice nor a phase.
Well, sometimes I am gay during the day, but that just means happy.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
right? I can be gay for a day, but that'd be about it.
Right.
Right?
So do you think that is reasonable to say that someone would actually get up and choose to have a more difficult path and say that, you know, I'm going to be lesbian, I'm going to be gay, I'm going to be bisexual, I'm going to be transgender so that I can have a more difficult life?
Well, I mean, if you want to be discriminated and bullied and heckled and made fun of and your children to have a hard life, then maybe. But that's not something I chose.
No.
It's just who I am.
Mm-hmm. So, Melissa, have you had any experiences with parents who thought that, you know, their child coming out was a phase?
Absolutely, absolutely, all the time.
And do you think that that is denial? Like, what do you think that's about, Johanna?
Well, I think, and this is going to, when I talk about how parents can support their children, I really feel that that is also, it's a combination of different things, but every parent's, has an individual reason why, but I think it's also the fact that it speaks to the fact that they're not listening to their children, that they don't take the time to really sit and talk with them and really understand what their child's going through and, what they're feeling. And, it's not just a phase, it's not just a stage that will blow over, and really understanding that.
And I think sometimes it can also come from a place of fear. Like, what does this mean for my child if I acknowledge that my child is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, however they identify, what does that mean for my child and how can I protect them? So I think sometimes that happens too, that they don't know what to do, they don't know how to support, and we'll talk about that later.
Can I touch on that?
Absolutely.
Do you think, though, it's on some parent level that a parent may think that it's internal, where did I go wrong? It's not necessarily, because if it is truly about your child, then you would naturally accept your child for who they are, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
I think when a parent does that to a child, I think it's more about themselves than it is their child. I think it's, where did I go wrong? I'm going to be viewed as the failure. I'm the one that's going to be made fun of. Look what you've done to this family. I don't think that it's in that aspect of it.
And doesn't that fit into societal expectations that being lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender is a failure?
Right.
So, I mean, it speaks to that as well.
Right.
But I
Yeah, how
think
many times do we hear, he's handsome, he's a doctor, but he's gay?
That is gay.
Like it's like the worst thing that took place, But I know some parents who have wanted their kids to be in a phase or let it be a phase just because they don't want them to go through what they know they're going to go through, because this world can be so raw and so painful and so bitter and so hurtful towards this community. So I think that comes out of it as well. Let's hope it's a phase, because I don't want my kids having this hard, tough life.
Right.
And it's true, I have 4 girls, and I have to say that it would kill me if one of them said they were a lesbian, only for the fact of the discrimination and the things that I have experienced. And, that's what, being gay myself is, it's pretty sad when you don't want that for your own children because of society.
Good point.
Right.
Good point. Before we move on, let me check in with the viewers and see what we have here. So, wow. Let's see. Hi, Hassan. Hassan said hi to Tony.
Hey.
Hi, Alicia. Alexandria says it's not a choice or a phase, it's an interest. Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. Let's see. What else is here? Jennifer says, I absolutely support my decision, any decisions anyone makes for themselves. I taught my kids and now my grandkids that everyone is the same at heart, but doesn't make them a bit different because they choose to be other than the way we are. Hi, Michael. Jennifer says, parents like that disgust me. Jennifer, I'm not sure, sometimes I feel a little bit of sympathy for parents who might just need some education, some learning, and some time to process, it can be challenging for them as well. But I understand where that statement comes from. I just think sometimes parents need some time and support to understand their children.
Absolutely.
Because they too have been bombarded with all that's negative about being gay or
Yeah,
queer. So
absolutely.
they're part of this culture as well. So
Right.
they have those same attitudes and fears.
I was just sharing a story with Eric on the way here, in terms of, I work with a lot of transgendered youth, and the parents, I have one family, out of all the families I work with, one family, I was just so overwhelmingly proud of this family, how supportive the mother and father were. The father is actually from another country, and a country where it would have never been really understood or accepted, and he was so open and willing, because that's his child, and they were willing to call their child by the new name that their child wants them to be called, and the gender that their child wants them to be identified as, and you know, I had a talk with my client saying, it's really important though that you also just listen to your parents and see where they're coming from. I think it's a twofold. I think it's important to be able to listen to both ends, because in a way it's grieving for the parents as well, and I don't think we see it as that. Mm-hmm. We don't see as, you know, the mother was sharing openly, and she said, you know, I love my child no matter what, and I'm here to support them, but the name that I gave her when she was born is my grandmother's name. So I'm grieving the loss of my little girl in a way, in a sense, although I'm embracing the new, but I'm grieving the old.
Right.
So.
And I've heard that several times as well, that they feel like they're losing the child, whatever gender they were born and given, and losing that child and then gaining a different child. Mm-hmm. And that is a grieving process. And I think that we need to respect that process and support that, so healing can happen and acceptance can begin.
Absolutely.
Nickelodeon has a commercial for Pride out. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Has anybody
No.
seen it?
No.
That's
So
amazing.
Brittany,
That's like
thank
one
you,
of my
Brittany.
favorite
We'll
shows.
have to. Jeannie, we know you watch Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
Can you let
We
us know?
watch Disney.
I do watch Disney.
Can you let us know if you see the commercial?
I can.
Okay. So you're gonna post it, right?
I will
On
post
Facebook?
it.
Perfect. Yes, Alexandria, that's a great point, that some parents aren't accepting because of their religion, and they feel it goes against their religion and beliefs. So that is another conflict for parents as well. Absolutely. All right, let's see what other stereotypes I have here. Let's talk about gay and lesbian couples in mimicking straight roles. So that means that, you know, same-sex couples, one of them has the so-called masculine or male role, and the other has the feminine female role. What do you think about that?
I can't tell you how many times I'm asked that question when I was coupled and introduced my partner. That would be one of the questions that was asked right away from people. Which one of you is the girl? Which one of you is the boy?
And what does
Yeah.
that mean?
You ask them.
What does
But I
that
would
mean?
ask that same question. I said, we're not mimicking straight world. We're not trying to be anything but what we are. So we're both very much males, and we'll both have what we have. It's not a substandard of what is not marginalized. I am not a female version of anyone, and he's not a male version of anyone. We're just ourselves.
I've had people at my job, actually, people I only knew rhetorically, ask me, like in more vulgar terms, like in the sexual role terms, which I was and which my husband was, or was my boyfriend at the time. And yeah, it's like I would never ask a straight person, like, you know, what position do you like, or and they actually felt comfortable that like that was okay to ask me.
So that's another stereotype, that, you know, lesbians, gays, bisexuals, they love talking about their sex life. So,
Right?
I mean,
I plead the fifth.
Jeannie, well, that's another story for a different show.
Yeah, I'm on a different spectrum.
But like everyone else, there are people that are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, who like to talk about their sex life, and then there's those that don't. So
Just like everybody.
just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's see. let's talk a little bit, Antonio, about the single story. Let's talk about that before we go any further.
So a single story was actually brought to my attention by the author Chimamanda Adichie, I believe is her name. Sorry if I butchered that up. Butchered. But what she speaks about is that we get stuck with a single story. For example, that stereotypes are incomplete. And we can go on to that. And for example, I can use the example that all gay men are feminine. And that might be true of some men, but that is not the complete story. You know, there are men who superficially meet the stereotype of femininity and therefore are more visible in our community, and then people think that all men are that way, and that men who don't act that way cannot be gay. They have to be straight. So that excludes a whole wide range of people. So the single story allows us to only think about one group, one thing all the time. Excuse me, and I think it's important to add layers to that, because then stereotypes are created and last longer in our own specific communities. I know for myself, I created my own stereotypes. We're talking about other people talking about ourselves, but we do that for ourselves.
Absolutely,
and I've created some perimeters around my own stereotypes about being gay and what that meant for me, especially growing up. Being 12, 13, 14, struggling with my sexuality and my identity, I was afraid that if I said to anybody that I was gay, that I was going to be perceived as the role models that I saw at the time on TV, which they're fine, but again, the single story, not the multi-layered facet that we have in our society. So I was afraid that if I said I'm gay at 14, that I would have to be, you know, this witty, feminine, you know, wearing high heels, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just want to say that there's more layers to gay men than just that, and the single story just produces that image sometimes, and it's a dangerous one.
Absolutely. So let's talk about let's go with some lesbian stereotypes. Jeannie, behave yourself.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, I'm sure I look like a construction worker and I fix cars, but that is far from the truth.
You can't fix the car.
No, not at all. I can't even
You
change
can't
a
even
flat.
fix the house.
You know, I have to call the mechanic and take a picture and say, does the oil go in here? You know what I mean?
You know I'm not touching the car, right? Because
No.
I'm calling AAA.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So, here's the story, Jeannie. Are you a lesbian because you can't get a man?
No, there are plenty of men that want me. They may be gay men. Okay? No,
Okay.
not at all.
So, the right man could turn lesbian straight.
No, I personally think I could probably change a straight man gay. But hey, who am I? Right? Where's the difference? Am I right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Eric was
It's
straight
like
till
the
he met
women
me.
who have the magical V. Because I've met so many women that think they have the
Right.
magical V.
Right.
And my mother just wishes I would go see them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Girly lesbians, lipstick lesbians, are only pretending. What do you think?
Well, my wife is a lipstick lesbian, and obviously I'm not. And people will think that, you know, I'm the man, she's the woman, and that's
So let's talk
so not the truth.
Let's talk about that. That's a great point. So, can I say your wife's name?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it's in court records. But
So I'm outing her now. So I know that Cherry stays home every day, cleans the house, cooks, brings the kids to school, walks the dogs. What else does she do? Iron, wash the
cleans,
laundry. Right, Cherry?
packs lunch.
Cherry, I know you're watching.
Snacks.
Is that what she does?
No.
And Cherry's car's a mess, right? And it
Yes,
has all the
torn
kids'
up.
food in it,
Yes.
and their Happy
Cups.
Meals, their cups,
They have
their...
their dance clothes from the night before.
Right. Oh, and she takes them to dance, too.
Yes, gymnastics, dance. She's got it
So
made.
what does she really do?
She's the provider,
Mm-hmm.
and she works full-time. And I cook, I clean, I stay home, I do dinner, I take care of the kids, all of that. Pick them up from school.
Right.
Yep.
So I bet you get a lot of that stereotypical stuff when people see you as a couple, they make assumptions, right?
They do.
That you, I'm waiting for Cherry to comment on here, but she's not saying nothing.
They'll say, "Oh, Cherry, the house looks great. What a great party. You cooked all this?" And she says, "Yes." And I just say, "Yeah, I
You went to work.
I went to work.
And you fixed the car.
Right, and I put half of a house together within 8 hours.
Right.
Right,
Down the floor.
So we need to be careful about those stereotypes.
we do.
And I'll tell you that I do a lot of yard work, and I can fix the sink, and I can fix the toilet, and but I don't really like to iron or do laundry, but I do work, and I do wear lipstick, and lipstick is a huge part of my life.
Yes, it is.
It is.
I've never seen you without it.
But I can also call the mechanic. I can,
Make a reservation.
I can make a reservation.
Right.
I love to
AAA drop it off.
cook. I do love to cook, but I can also fix things around the house if I need to. So my wife does a lot of the things that I think people assume that I do around the house. She said, "No kidding." Right. So, all right, let's talk about lesbians hate shaving. I don't know, but this is my favorite. Lesbians hate bras. All right, women, I want to know how many, well, I guess the assumption is all straight women love their bras, right?
Right.
Right. So I can tell you, thanks, Maureen, I'm a great cook, she said, that I don't know any woman, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity, that like their bras, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, you turn the key, off comes the bra.
right? Sometimes we're lucky if we make it into the car with the door shut. Sometimes you just have to get rid of that.
There are so many straight women that I have gone to their house and they would yell, "Wait, I gotta put my bra on first."
Right.
And they're not gay.
Right.
Right.
That's because
Right.
we're coming into the house.
Right. It's because I'm a man.
Right. No.
Right. Right.
But I do know
Right.
every single woman I do know loves to take their bra off as soon as they get home.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So does that have to do with sexual orientation?
Absolutely not.
But it's a stereotype.
Exactly.
I know straight women also that hate to shave, and I know lesbians that cannot stand having any hair on their body and shave every day. So, again, does that have to do with sexual orientation? I don't think so.
And I'm so busy, I
Right.
can't help it. Sometimes I look like an ape. I mean, I'm so
Individual,
busy.
right.
It's like, it's life.
It's all
And
about
I'm not,
individual
I
preference.
consider I'm heterosexual, and I don't, believe me, I take off my bra when I get home, don't tell my husband.
And in the
But
winter,
it's-
I just let it grow because it has nothing to do with being gay. It's just lazy.
Right, absolutely.
No one's going to see your legs.
Right. I don't care.
All right, all the secrets
So
are
we
out
have the
tonight.
conversations going.
How about, this is where some stereotypes are partly true, right, Antonio?
Incomplete.
They're in-
I love
I
that.
like that.
So, lesbians drive Jeeps and Subaru Outbacks.
I wish.
What do you think? So do no straight people?
So I do know some lesbians that do drive Jeeps.
I do too.
I do know some lesbians that drive Subarus, but I also know some women who are not either, who drive the same.
Right.
So I think it's important that we introduce a word here, which is microaggressions, which is stuff that we include in our vernacular. And we use these terms on a daily basis. And I remember as a kid hearing them and feeling crushed because we have these stereotypes what a gay person is or what this is. And I remember the term that comes to mind is "that's so gay," to always describe something negative, something so not cool, something that wasn't the best. And we use that on a daily. I hear it on the school grounds, and it's part of our vernacular now. And we use that because we have stereotypes about what gay people are. So we introduce these terms into our vernacular to describe things that are negative, and they refer it to our community. So I would like that to be addressed sometime because I've heard it from teachers, I've heard it from adults, I've heard it from coworkers. And imagine being a 9 or 10-year-old boy or girl questioning their identity, struggling with that, which suicide rates in our community are sky high compared to the national average. I'm sure you'll talk about that soon. But words like that hurt, terms like that kill, you know, so we need to be aware of what we say because we are projecting that again because of our own stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Well, you don't know who's in earshot of you. I mean,
Absolutely.
there are people around. I was in Target, and my husband and I were looking at wine glasses, and this woman came around the corner, and her friend, you could tell they were like friends, and one of them had just gotten a new apartment or something, and they were buying things for it. And the woman who had the apartment was like, oh, I should buy this, and I can put this with it. And her friend goes, oh, don't do that. That would be so gay.
Yeah.
And then my husband told me, he gets like all tense, and he's looking at me like, what is he going to do? And I'm like, I look over at the woman, and I'm walking over to her, and I'm thinking to myself, high road, low road, high road, low road. And I just went over to her, and I was like, excuse me, ma'am, but I'm gay, and I would never pick that. And she's like, well, and I was like, I think what you meant to say was stupid. And she goes, oh, well, and I was like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You'll think of it next time. And I walked away.
It's important to address that sometimes.
Yeah. And try to have a sense of humor because if you bonk them over the head, they're just going to get, they're just going to get defensive. But I was just feeling like if I at least could be a little bit light and not get mad, that maybe she'd walk away with something rather than...
But when you're like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, you don't have that
them.
power. And how many times have I been a year shot away from that conversation?
Yeah.
Right. And it's important for the adults. This is where the adults come in. And it's sad to hear an adult say that to another adult. But especially with kids, though, you have to educate. You have to really, really hit home with kids. Words are so powerful. Whether you're talking about racism, when you're talking about sexism, when you're talking about, all these issues, words are so important and so impactful. So us as parents, whether you do identify as gay, lesbian, straight, however you identify, words are so important, and it's important for us to educate our kids to make sure that, when they are saying these type of things, to say something to them, that it's not okay. And I don't care how many times you have to say it, when my kids who, not perfect, no kids are, they'll say something, but I address them. I'll make sure that I say something. My husband makes sure that he says something, as an ally to groups, all different groups that feel disenfranchised. I feel like it's up to us to make sure that we are the allies to be able to correct people when they're wrong and to use the right language.
Or to just have a conversation around the subject matter. Ask why was that said? Why do you think that's a term that you should use to describe a bad experience? Yeah. I think it's exactly what you just said.
And to teach.
Point.
Because
it's a teachable moment.
Because a lot of people just say it innocently and not really understanding the effect that it may have. So, if you just do it, even with a little kid, when they'll say something to me, are you a boy or a girl? And the mother's like, oh, it's like, it's okay, it's really okay. And that's how we're gonna spread the knowledge about how it really makes us feel and, the youth and help them come out and save some lives in the process.
We live in language. It's important to have conversations around such.
And I think you brought up a good point about, are you a boy or a girl? At, 3, 4, 5, children will ask that question, and there's no malintent behind it.
Right.
They're curious, are you a girl or a boy? And I think as they grow up, that question changes to, how do you identify? How should I refer to you? What are your preferred pronouns? And I think that's a natural, progression for development. And I think we miss those opportunities sometimes, and we get embarrassed by those opportunities, and we shouldn't. And I think parents should definitely, encourage that and support that, and know that we want those questions asked, because it shows that it's okay to say, I'm not sure. How do you identify? What pronouns would you like me to use? Those are important questions for people to learn to ask. Or when the wrong pronouns are used, or your non-preferred pronouns are used, it's okay to say, if you say to me he, I'm going to say, oh, she, her, please. And that's okay. It's offensive if it's done, intentionally in a mean way. But if you're asking, or you don't know and you use the wrong pronoun and we correct you, we're not offended as long as you respect that. And that's important to know.
Right. I think it's best to engage in the conversation than to walk out of the room.
Right, exactly.
Right, absolutely.
All right, let's see what else I can say about those lesbians.
So
Easy.
much.
Right? They can't get a man. They love sports. All right.
No, I
So,
plead the fifth on that one.
what?
I
Softball.
said I plead the fifth on that one.
Lacrosse.
So, not all straight women like sports. Neither do all lesbians. And no, I have never played softball. I don't want to break my nails. I don't want to get hit with the ball. I don't want to get bruised. It hurts. No, thank you.
I love softball. I played
too.
softball.
So you're a
growing up.
lesbian?
No, and I'm not. I'm right.
Right.
Exactly.
So-
Those are the stereotypes.
Stereotypes.
Yeah.
Lesbians hate men. You know, that's kind of really offensive to me. I have a male child. Does that mean I would hate my male child because he's a man? I mean, what does that really mean? Lesbians hate men? I mean, I don't know. Lesbians only listen to music by Katie Lang, the Indigo Girls, Hollis Average, right? So,
Lilith Fair.
right? Well, the gay men only listen to Madonna, right?
Lady Gaga.
Well, I do
Lady
know
Gaga.
guys that do like that.
So, yeah,
Boy George was my hero, just putting that out there.
Boy George.
Still is, right?
Damn right.
I know you're a big fan.
I'd say damn straight, but I don't want to offend you.
All right. The comfortable shoes, Linda. Let's talk about those lesbian comfortable shoes. Good point. I have on some sandals right now. I'm not going to show you. They're not that comfortable. I missed the mark with the lesbian shoes. I don't know what to say about that, Jeannie.
I go for comfort. It's all man's shoe, you know, Nikes. It's
Chivas.
just, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I shop in the men's department. Sorry for you, you know. I hate to offend anybody, especially you straight people, but I do.
Wait, hold on. I don't represent every straight person on there.
I also shop in the men's
I'm the
department.
minority.
Oh, you can't be gay.
Probably not, yeah.
Yeah, no way.
let's see what I can find. All lesbians are feminists. So
I'm a feminist,
you are.
of course.
What is a feminist?
One who believes that every gender should have access to equal rights and notions.
So all lesbians are not politically active. They are not involved in politics, and they are not feminists. There are straight people, there are gay people, there are lesbians, there are bisexual individuals that are feminists, but it's across the board. Let's see. I don't know if I really want to get into this, but we're gonna. Let's talk about you, Holly. So, I don't know if that's a lesbian thing, a gay thing, an everybody thing. So you, Holly. Jeannie, what's you, Holly?
Well, if,
Well, let's ask Melissa.
yeah,
No, let's
yeah,
not.
let's,
You know,
let's ask
It's the
you.
truck, right? It's
It
the
is a
truck
truck.
that
It's a
pulls up
Yep.
and helps you move.
Right. So do you know what
Put me on the spot.
Oh,
Come
too
on,
late.
I'm the minority over
Too
here.
late, too
the
late.
joke is that on the second day, lesbians go get a U-Haul and they move in together. So that's the stereotype.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Right. So
You failed.
Thank you for educating. I did.
Teachable
I did.
moment, teachable moment.
Have a
Exactly.
conversation.
so
And it's uncomfortable, but I'm hanging in
You got
there.
it though. You're taking it. You're taking it.
so let's talk about on the third date, then pull up the U-Haul. So Linda's waiting until the third date. Usually it's the second date, but you know. So Melissa, have you ever known any straight couples that have moved in together relatively quickly after meeting each other?
Oh no.
Never?
Never. Of course.
So only lesbians do that.
Yeah, only lesbians.
How about Antonio? What's it like over there in the gay man's world?
My mom and dad got together really fast.
They did.
So yeah.
Well, gay men
Yeah.
don't do that because they just have one night stands. It's all
We
about
didn't
sex,
get there
right?
yet. Oh, Antonio is on blast in a few
Right.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna represent all of them.
All right, just making sure.
All right. Let me do a time check. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to look at the comments here before we move on to Eric and Antonio's stereotypes. let's see. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Shannon. Those are my sisters. Hi, Ann. Hi, Kim. Miss you, Kim. It's not that, Kim. Oh boy, always something with you, Jeannie. Melinda says she waits till the third date for the U-Haul because she's old. So, Linda, we got to be on the second date. I don't know. All right, let's talk about gay men. So, all gay men are feminine. I wish I had some pictures.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about that before. Again, the stereotype is incomplete. Yes, some gay men are feminine, not all gay men are feminine. I think that they're most visible because we have this superficial stereotype of what femininity is. Therefore, they're more visible, so they don't challenge the stereotype. But I know men that are not, you know.
Right.
Again, the stereotype is incomplete. So yes, some gay men are feminine, but not all gay men are feminine.
Well, a football player can't be gay.
And there's plenty.
No.
Or a basketball player.
Or a
hockey
basketball
player.
player.
And that stereotype keeps people from coming out because if
They
I'm
have
not
an
part
image.
of this, then I
What
can't
if-
be that.
What about, gymnasts and dancers can't be straight?
Yeah, well, I lived in New York, Brooklyn in the late 90s, and most of the people that were going into dancing school, they weren't ballet, were actually straight. And they got a lot of flack because people thought they were gay. So there was a role reversal there. You know?
What about, I know, Antonio, you can't help yourself. Neither can you, Eric.
No.
You, gay men, will take any man. It doesn't matter, you're attracted to all men.
All of them. If they have a penis, I want them. Every single one.
He's
Old,
attracted to my
young,
husband. No, I'm kidding.
doesn't matter. What they look like, I don't
You
care.
don't care.
No?
Because your goal is to
hope
convert
Renee's
the
not
straight people, lesbians
Oh, absolutely,
also, to
absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have to, convert those straight women to lesbian and those.
Yeah, we're taking
Well,
this.
toaster ovens only last so long. You need to get them replaced. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we take it lightly, we're having fun with it, but some stereotypes can be really damaging, and some
Absolutely.
people believe
Yeah.
this, and there are some straight men that would probably believe that stereotype and create hostile work environments for us.
Oh, absolutely.
And even living environments for us, you know. And some of our stereotypes today have shaped public policy, you know. I know we're going to talk about some later, but specifically that gay parents can't be good parents, and that kept gay people from adopting for a very long time.
Right.
Because God forbid that two lesbians take care of a child that's not a family unit, or two gay men take care of children, that's not good enough. And that kept, that was social policy. We didn't think that you guys were good enough to raise kids.
Well, I
Or adopt
adopted
kids.
4 children, and when my 11-year-olds were being adopted, I was asked during the court proceedings, would I mind not going into the court, just have my wife go in there, because they didn't want the judge to form any kind of opinion.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And it shapes public policy.
Yeah, and of course, that
Oh, it
wasn't the
has.
place to, of course absolutely, if that's what you feel is in the best interest,
Sorry.
I will do that.
And how long ago was that?
Now they're 11, so, they were probably 4, I think, 3 or 4 when we adopted them.
That wasn't too long ago, yeah.
No,
So it's still really,
and that, I was asked, would I mind?
well, I'm sorry, that's really crazy.
So you actually weren't in the courtroom because you were fearful that it was going to impact the judge's decision on your adopting children.
Yeah,
Somebody else was too.
somebody else was,
Oh.
I wasn't.
Somebody asked.
Once that was brought to my attention, every court date and every child, that was a panic now. Was, oh my God, if I go in there, what is this judge gonna think of me? Because all gay people are perverted, child molesters,
You're gonna make your children gay.
I'm gonna make
Oh, yeah.
children gay. It's not gonna be a safe, nurturing, loving environment. It's gonna be whips, chains, and whatever else we gay people do.
For the record, it's straight people that make us gay.
Straight people make us
My gay parents made me gay.
That's right.
How
No,
did they do
my
that?
straight parents made me gay.
How did they do that?
I don't know.
All right, let's talk about gay men do not want to be in a relationship. All you want to do is partner surf, and you're looking for sex.
Well, I've been with the same man for 21 years, and we have a monogamous relationship, closed relationship, and we both like it that way, and can't imagine it not being that way.
One of my biggest role models is a couple that has been together for 43 years. Recently, one of my good friends passed away, his partner passed away 43 years. And that's my role model. And I think part of the reason why I'm not coupled is because I want that. Is it true that gay men have more sexual partners than most? Possibly, I don't know. But it's not what I want for myself, but there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. It's a stereotype, again, incomplete. I would love to be coupled with someone. I think as men in general, regardless of being straight or gay, we are socialized to not be in relationships. And I think that might spill over a little bit more for gay men because of the shame of being gay and lack of role models like this. We don't see these role models where we frequent. So we think that that becomes default. But I don't think that's true for everybody. I hope that's not true for everybody. I know it's not true for me.
Antonio lovers are going to come out everywhere now, you know that, right?
By the way,
If you like Antonio, 2 thumbs down, right?
please don't.
Can you also speak on in regards to culture too, and how
Yeah.
culture also plays a part in all of this, and our families from different cultural backgrounds being able to accept or not accept, and how easy more maybe American families are maybe more easier opposed to cultural families from other countries, other places, islands.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I think you hit it on the nail on the head. Yeah. So many things. I think too. There's this incredible shame about being gay as well. So how can you create a healthy relationship if you have all the self-hate and deprecation going on, right? So how can you really deal throughout those processes? And then you have a family that says, it's okay that you're gay, but we don't want to see it. It's okay that you're gay, but don't bring him around. It's okay that you're gay, but don't kiss him in front of us.
Don't tell this
It's
family
okay that you're
member.
gay, and then you don't have anybody that you can call and say, Mom, Dad, I just got into a fight with Johnny, and they don't hear it. But if you call your mom and say, I had a fight with my husband, she'll probably have a conversation around that and say, you and your father, my father and you and, that conversation takes place. We don't have that as a support system sometimes as gay men. I can speak for myself. I know I don't, and I found my family with people, like I just mentioned before, who did create a space for me where I could attain that type of relationship. But that wasn't easy, and that came with years of searching, and wanting to be accepted. So, yeah, and if you're Portuguese, for the most part, if you're Cape Verdean, if you're from Latin America, it's not something that's acceptable. It's tolerated, I think it's the word. It's not accepted.
Right.
And a lot of kids to this day are getting kicked out of their homes because they've mentioned the fact that they are gay. Not my kid, and not in this family, It's not you're too Americanized. This is happening because we brought you to America. This would never happen if we were back there. So things like that I've heard, and it's happened, even in my own family, So.
We're going to talk a little bit about a few more stereotypes, and then we're going to talk, Melissa, about how we can support individuals who are coming out, how we can support family members with the process, and some of the work you do, and some statistics around that. So the last couple of things: all gay men love the color pink. All gay men have been in drama club. All gay men have a lisp. Gay guys fall for their straight friends. All gay men have tidy homes. They're all clean and perfect, and everything's in its place.
I do now because I have 2 vacuums that are robotic and 2 dogs.
So the robots are cleaning the house.
That's right.
So then it is true, gay people are rich?
Oh, that's right.
I don't know, but if my husband counts some money, I'll take it.
Well, old gay guys are rich.
I'm old, I'm gay, I'm not rich.
Shucks.
Are you?
I'm old and gay, and I am not rich.
You just broke the mold here.
Yeah, far from it.
I'm
Yeah.
just gay,
Or
young,
tiny, not tiny.
but not rich.
Yeah, and I don't like
I'm not old. Don't even look at me like I'm old.
I don't know. That's what it says. That old gay guys are rich. I don't know. And you're obsessed with fashion.
Yeah. Well,
Antonio.
Well, you've
yeah.
no, but let's.
I've always been a sharp dresser.
He's always
But
been
that
into
doesn't,
fashion.
yeah, that
though.
doesn't come from being gay. That comes from growing
That's
up
who
poor,
he is.
and now I have the ability to buy and choose
The
my own
clothes that you want, right?
Yeah.
Always looks sharp.
Thank you.
But
Totally.
My husband
He's
wishes
on
that I
board
would wear colors, and I always just wear non-colored clothes. Like, so it's black, gray, blue, green, but it's like a gray green. And he tries to get me to wear colors a lot, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I love color. I'm definitely. I mean, I was gonna wear yellow pants today, but probably thought it was too much. The radio.
On the radio.
But no, I love color. I think
We could've
life
brought
is
out sunglasses.
I love color, so I'm so glad we own the rainbow.
Yes.
I like color, I just don't like to wear it.
Yeah,
Let me see before we
it's going by fast.
Oh,
isn't it?
hi Gina. Miss you. She says hi Gina.
Hey, Gina.
Nice big heart. We love you. Let's see. All right, let's talk a little bit. We've kind of poked fun about the stereotypes and how they how it is perceived that lesbians, gays, bisexuals fall into these stereotypes. But there's also a piece of this that really impacts individuals, especially individuals who are trying to come out, who are trying to find themselves, who parents who are just, finding out and trying to accept and support their children coming out. So, Melissa, can you tell us a little bit about some of the work that can be done or some statistics?
Sure, absolutely. So, so just a little bit too quickly about me. I do identify as a heterosexual woman. I am married to my husband of 18 years, and the thing that I really pride my husband and myself with is that we really try to be open and teach our kids about empathy, especially empathy and compassion. Mm-hmm. And it's important, even though you may not identify, but it's important to put yourself in someone else's shoes. But we're all walking around with something, a crutch or something that we can be pigeonholed in, and I think it's important that if you don't identify, to be an ally and to be supportive. I remember really quickly a quick story in college, and this really spoke to me. I went to Simmons College, and it's a predominantly women's college, and there was a lot of stereotypes like, oh, you're going there, you're going to become a lesbian. Well, I kept my husband through the whole time. I've been with my husband through it, and the biggest thing, that situation that happened is I was an RA in one of the dorms, and two women who identified as lesbian were walking down the stairs. Now, they could have been friends that nobody would have known, or nobody, they could have been just walking down, but I know that they identified as lesbians, and they're walking down the stairs, and another girl had her boyfriend over, and they were walking up the stairs, and the boyfriend decided to spit over the railing and spit on top of the couple walking down the stairs. Now, they could have been friends, who knows? It could have been me and a girlfriend, my best friend, walking down the stairs, and he would have just immediately went to that. But they did identify as lesbian, and that really made a teachable moment and an impact on everybody in the community at Simmons. And it was really, and I always, don't be nasty. There's no need for nastiness. There's no need for violence. And the things that I see coming in my door with a lot of the transgendered youth and children who identify as gay, lesbian, adults that identify as gay, lesbian, is that it's the violence, the things that have happened in their life. I know we're, like you said, poking fun a little bit at, you guys are, and it's fun to have humor with it, but it's hurtful. Mm-hmm. It's very hurtful. And if I were to, personally ask each of you, you've each had, I'm pretty sure, a very hurtful moment. And when I am so proud that in my practice, people come to me and can openly talk about those incidences and talk openly, because sometimes haven't even talked about it to anybody, and I might be the first. So being able, other therapists, other mental health clinicians out there, school personnel, parents, being an ally and being open and being supportive and listening to your clients, just listen with no judgment too, and allowing that space to be an open, safe place. So just really quick, I just want to just give a quick, Tony, I know you as Tony, had spoke about the stereotypes a little, the rate a little bit in regards to suicide, and but suicide is the second. I have a few statistics, and this is coming from the Trevor Project, and the Trevor Project was founded in 1998, and it's an online service that actually helps lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender questioning young people from the ages of 13 to 24. So I'll make sure that I give the website as well but when I'm done with this. But they had given some statistics, and they also provide suicide support. It's probably somebody letting me know that they're checking in with me over here. So suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people ages 10 to 24. But the LGBTQ community, the youth, seriously contemplate suicide at almost 3 times the rate of heterosexual youth. LGBTQ youth are almost 5 times as likely to have attempted suicide compared to heterosexual youth. Of all the suicides attempted made by youth, LGBTQ youth suicide attempts were almost 5 times as likely to require medical treatment than those of heterosexual youth. So right here, I mean, I can keep going down the list, but right there it just speaks to the volumes of the concern, and we need to be supportive and understand, you know, what are our youth, the LGBTQ community, what are the youth going through and what they're experiencing, and be supportive. Would you like me to go on with the supports and how we can be supportive?
Great.
So I broke it down too in terms of, I used to work in schools as well as, I am a licensed social worker, so I worked in many facets of social work, but I was a school adjustment counselor as well, and it's really important for our schools to be very supportive as well, not just in the homes, but also in the schools, in just some ways, just making sure that, that they encourage respect. The word respect for all children, you know. Bullying is extremely high within the LGBTQ community with the youth. So we have to be very careful to be very more hyper-vigilant when it comes to bullying. Encourage respect, make safe places in school, and encourage like the guidance counselor's office to be the safe place, or any place identifies other staff that can support and be there for those children that just come out. A lot of youth aren't coming out and saying it, and they're questioning, and they don't know who to even talk to and who to feel safe with. So it's important to identify people within the school that people can feel safe, youth can feel safe and talk to. Student-led organizations and clubs, alliances, community support, also schools allowing providers like myself, providers within the mental health community to come in and facilitate you know, workshops and stuff, not just for the LGBTQ community, but for everybody to understand the community. Parents, the things that you can do at home is to have an open and honest dialogue with your children. Always just listen, even though, I mean, I have 2 teenage sons, and I understand it's not always easy to listen to every single thing, but it's important. I'd rather listen to everything than not to listen to anything. So it's important to have that open dialogue with them. Find out where they're coming from. Even heterosexual children who identify as heterosexual, find out, okay, why do you feel that way about the LGBT community? What do you feel? You know, have that dialogue, and it's okay to talk about it. Support. Offer support. Listen. And also, parents watch behaviors. Watch the behaviors of your children. Watch the behaviors of, you know, if they're isolating, if they're in their room more, if they're not talking to anybody, you know, watch them and just check in. Go in their room, sit with them, you know, if they're isolating, if their friends are not their friends anymore, just be more aware and hypervigilant.
It's really important to be aware. It's really important to let children talk, and it's important to support our children with being an ally to the LGBT community. And I think sometimes conversations don't happen because children aren't identifying as LGBTQ, they're identifying as heterosexual, they're identifying as straight. So those conversations aren't happening. We still need to have those conversations to teach children, because sometimes they're not getting the information they need to be a good ally. And I think that's someplace that we need to grow as a community.
Can I just give the
yes,
resource real quick? Because I said I would get back to it. But if anyone listening wants to tap into this support. It's the Trevor Support Center, and it's and you can go online, and it's www.thetrevorproject.org/help. Also, so you can get help. There's a 1-800 number to talk about if there's any in terms of any suicidal thoughts or anything, anyone, you know, anything. They talk about depression, anxiety too, and they have trained staff support as well. So, so again, it's www.thetrevorproject.org/help. And also the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, also, this is where I got some of the statistics and some of the, where you could find out about parenting support, how schools can also find out how to get more support in regards to this topic.
Excellent. And I just want to mention the center on Pleasant Street. We have many different groups going on there. To support the community. We have, you know, socialization groups. Check out our websites, South Coast LGBTQ Network, on the Facebook page. It's updated. It has all of our activities on there. You can check that out. And does anybody have any closing things before I?
Yeah, I would say think critically about the way you think. I know that sounds redundant. And also understand how we do live in language, and conversations will bridge some gaps. And I'll finally say that it's important to understand how incomplete stereotypes can cause a lot of pain and hurt.
Absolutely.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Absolutely.
And one thing is that we're all individuals, just treat us that way.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, so I know, Antonio, can you talk about the new show, Pose, that's
Oh my
out?
God, yes, I would love to.
So,
That should have been done already.
This is the show that I've been watching, and I'm really in love with it. It's set in New York in the mid-1980s, and it's about celebrating ballrooms and ballers. For those who don't know what that is, that's a community that was put together by people in the mid-80s who were able to be themselves, be freed. All these marginalized populations, gay, transsexual, queer, get together and just have a really good time, and how they create their own families because they were rejected by their biological families. So it's a good show. It's great to see people in this role in national TV. When I was growing up, I had very few programs that I can identify with or connect with, and I absolutely love this show. So it's, can I plug it in? It's on FX every Sunday night at 9 o'clock.
and I haven't watched it yet,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna check it out, and we'll talk about it in the future.
And the word queer has some historical
Yes.
context too,
Yes, we
in
took
New
it back,
York,
yeah.
and
It's
there's
called Pose, by the
a
way.
lot of-
I don't know
yeah.
if I said that. Yes.
Yes.
So the word queer, speaking of language.
Yes.
Yeah, so we took that back. It used to be a very negative connotation. It used to be a word that destroyed our community, and we took the power by owning it. We took it back.
Absolutely. And Jeannie has an announcement. Jeannie, what's your announcement?
She's
Oh,
pregnant.
yes. I'm having a boy.
Not my time.
The other announcement
Join me at Comedy Connection.
for my birthday party.
For her birthday party, I'm doing stand-up July 15th at Comedy Connection in Providence. So come see me in action
At what time?
at 8 p.m.
At 8 p.m. And this is Jeannie's first time.
Amateur
So,
night.
Yes, come on out and support her. I'll be there. I might take some clips and show it on the show.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. Again, thank you everyone for
Can I
watching.
just say one thing? I'm
Melissa, go
sorry.
ahead.
If anyone's interested to, I just want to say, if I know a lot of people have some stereotypes themselves with counseling.
Yes.
And are afraid maybe to go to counseling, or had a counselor that maybe judged them, and it's like, I don't want to go back. And so just I'm going to say there's a lot of new counselors coming out that have a different mindset and are taught very differently than kind of the old mindset of things. So just be open to looking into counseling if you really need it. If you're really struggling, I would really ask you to look into it. Also, you can go on Psychology Today. You can actually type in your description of what you want from a counselor, and that therapist will pop up. You can also reach me. You can go on my website, SolisticsSolutions.com, SolisticsSolutionServices.com, or you could give my office a call at 508-927-5025, and I'm at extension 2.
Excellent. So if anyone here wants to contact Melissa, the number again is?
508-927-5025, extension 2.
All right.
Thank you for the work that you do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
So thank you all for coming, and I just want to close with, if you want to support this show, reach out to Leo at newbedfordguide.com. Supporting this show with ads will allow us to continue to do this and provide some additional services to the LGBTQ community. And if you have ideas for the show or questions or any resource information you need, you can reach me at Eileen at sclgbtqnetwork.org. Thank you, and Tracy will be back next week.
Keep the conversation going.
Yes, we will.